and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, roll call, please.
Copeland.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Ready. Holtz.
Here.
Baxter.
Okay, we have 5 members present this evening. Alderman Honey is absent. Before we move to approve the agenda, if you turn your focus to line item number 6, that was an audit report. They are not here this evening. They were unable to make it tonight, so we will table that for probably the next meeting. With that being said, motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Grady. Second by Holt. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Regular meeting minutes of April 19th, 2022. Are there any questions about the minutes, or is there a motion to approve? Motion. Motion by Black. Second by Grady. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approved. Citizens participation. Anyone here this evening who would like to come forward for citizens participation?
Yeah, we'll talk.
May I say, continue to speak? Oh,
Go ahead.
Yep, come on up.
can I stay in my chair?
You can, wherever you're comfortable. Just,
I have a whippy idea.
can you state your name for the record, ma'am?
My name is Catherine DeClue. I reside in Victorian Place of Cuba.
Okay.
And I love the idea of your art museum. I look at quilts and all kinds of domestic things of that nature. But I can't get upstairs to see it.
Okay.
Is there a way, I know that there's funding on the federal level as well as state level, that you guys could possibly apply to get some kind of single elevator or even a freight elevator there? That was my concern.
Over here at the History Museum, correct?
Yes.
That is a very good request, and
I
we'll
think
have to look into. I don't know how feasible or possible, but there's one way to find out.
it's possible. It might not be priority
Sure.
to the city,
Sure.
but it is possible, and it may attract more people there.
Okay.
My opinion. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Mr. Edson?
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for letting me talk. For the record, Dan Edson, 505 Kidwell Drive. Many of you remember me as the crazy guy that used to bring his video camera to the meetings and record the meetings. A lot of you don't understand that I did that because there was a lot of tomfoolery and crazy accusations flying around. Whenever I started recording these meetings, a lot of that quelled because people just didn't want to get called on the carpet over. Since the recent election and installing me as mayor, I really haven't had a need for it. I don't feel I've had a need for it. But this last meeting that you guys had, I witnessed something with the cam that you guys had over there that kind of disturbed me a little bit. 2 meetings ago, there was an issue with employee handbook that even you mentioned that kind of gray area that needed to be addressed. I really kind of expected that to be on the agenda for the next meeting, which was the last meeting that went on. But apparently it wasn't. I don't remember seeing anything in that 17-minute video that addressed that. And yet, whenever you had an alderman bring that issue up and want to talk about it, he was berated publicly by you. Now, I'd like to think that that wasn't the person that I voted for to get in that, your position. What you guys want to do behind closed doors in executive session is completely up to you guys. Yeah, how you want to act and how you want to treat each other, that's outside of the public eye. But whenever you literally get up and make a threatening move towards somebody because they are trying to bring something up that needs to be ironed out or fixed or addressed, I take an issue with that.
I recall.
I'm not going to ask you to do it right this second, but
Sure.
sometime in this evening, I would like to see, I'd like to hear a public apology, not only to Mr. Bouse, but everybody in attendance for that meeting, because that was completely uncalled for.
I will gladly say that I got up to throw something away. That Alderman Bouse made it very clear that we were so-called picking and choosing what we wanted to do when in fact that's what he was doing. I made that statement directly to him. I don't think that's threatening. I think that's just simply responding. So if my tone was elevated, it was probably due to my impatience with such a topic of, but we've already voted that we're not going to pay these folks out on their sick time. If there's any further discussion to have, we can have it. I do agree the employee handbook needs to be more clear on, yeah, we're not paying you for these days unless you're eligible to retire. It went all these years with that being the understanding until here recently when Alderman Baus wanted to make a change to that for Baus and Durham. So, yeah, I was frustrated. Was told that we were picking and choosing on how someone could retire, when in fact he was trying to pick and choose on how somebody can get paid for sick days. We have numerous other employees since the creation of this program where nobody's ever been paid out for sick days like that. So, yeah, I was aggravated. Jeff, I'm sorry. You told me I was picking and choosing. I told you were picking and choosing. I did get up to throw something away, and I did have a tone. Absolutely. Because it's silly and it's ridiculous to even have that conversation.
What you consider silly and ridiculous, somebody else is going to take a serious issue with. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about your employees, that you have here.
Right. Well, and we also had Lance say we're not going to discuss this with somebody here.
And I can appreciate that because that was absolutely the correct response. I mean, that needed to be brought in behind closed doors where everybody can sit and talk about it.
Right.
But my problem with this, Mr. Mayor, is that, whenever it's brought up, I've listened to both sides of the story, and there is, in fact, a gray area here. There are arguments that can be made for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't privy to the vote that you guys had, whether or not you were going to pay or not pay anybody. But there are arguments to be made. And it needs to be addressed. It needs to be put on the agenda, which I still don't see in here, that you guys need to discuss this and figure out and make it clear. And if you have to get with Lance to find out if that has to be written in a certain way, then I'd like to see that happen so we can avoid this type of issue in the future. But I appreciate you allowing me time to speak, and I really hope that I don't have to see that again, really. So,
well, again,
you're frustrated. I get that.
Yeah, and again, the accusations towards us were just as ridiculous. So yeah, it's pretty upsetting.
Well,
Jeff knows that we're not picking and choosing, but then he says in a public meeting that we are, when in reality he is. Wouldn't you agree?
I still feel like that we need to address this issue, Cody.
Well, and that's fine.
We need to have a meeting for that.
If the room could only know some of the recent developments in the last couple of weeks, we'd have a real conversation about what's fair and equitable. Let me tell you that.
and that's fine. And again, what happens behind closed
Yes,
doors?
Mr. Mayor, on the same note as Dan, I have had some citizens that said that you looked like you were aggravated with Jeff.
I was very aggravated, Jeff. Absolutely.
They said that, and they didn't support you as well. They said, I don't know, this is kind of odd. Dan comes in and speak about it. I've had people talk to me about this, and you did tonight. They said, I feel that, they all said, I feel that Cody should apologize, because like Dan said, I didn't know Dan was going to be here tonight, but I didn't want to know. I have had 3-4 come up to me and say the same thing. And we'll get aggravated and say things we don't mean. I do, everybody does. And Jeff, I want to apologize too.
Well, apologies aren't needed because I get that way too. And if we lose that fire to fight for what we believe in, we shouldn't be here. And that's the way I feel about it.
Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your time.
Anyone else here this evening for citizens participation? Come forward. State your name for the record, please, sir.
Brandon Lickletter, representing Various County Bank. Just wanted to let everybody know and formally invite all of you. We're going to have our open house event on May 14th on Saturday. It's going to have free food for the public. We'll have the doors open. Everybody can check out the new facility. Just want to welcome everybody in. Have some invitations. I'll leave them outside on the table, but certainly we'd like to see you all stop by and check out a new investment in town and get a chance to visit with all of you a little bit more.
Very good. Greatly appreciate you coming forward. Do you have some things you're going to leave with
Yes,
us?
just leave them out here on the table.
That'll be fine. That way anybody can grab one. Absolutely.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening for citizens participation? Okay, hearing none. Was that? Go ahead and move forward for the comptroller's treasury report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You'll see in your packet, I have fund balance transfers and budget revisions as of March 31st, 2022. There were a lot of the capital improvement tax taken out and put into the electric. As you can see from below on the fund balance transfers, there was a lot of transformers that were purchased. So I took it out, and plus part of the electric 7200 circuit that was being done, I took that out of the capital improvements as well. As far as the budget revisions, some of the bigger items to hit on are a decrease in interest income, an increase in leachate revenue, an increase in the motor fuel tax from what was estimated for this year, and some of the expenses were an increase in workers' comp. I know that was brought up in one of the meetings that went up substantially. The street health insurance was up a little, and then I also took out the property management budget for the rest of the year. I didn't know where you all stood on that, and so that decreased that as well.
Any questions on any of the budget revisions or transfers as of this first quarter? Again, show some in detail, also showing the current transfers in before we make a motion to pay the bills. So if there are no questions, with that being said, is there a motion to pay the bills? Motion by Baus, seconded by Grady. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chris.
I also
Yes,
need a motion to approve the fund balance transfers and budget.
okay, motion also to approve the fund balance transfers. Motion by Grady. Second by Baus. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you.
And then I have one last thing, since this is my last meeting that I'll be at. I wanted to mention two big projects that are ongoing and their status. One of the things is the general code. That is our online ordinances that are going to be put out. It's been a work in progress for about 2 years now. I really worked substantially on that this quarter. We got it down to about an 8-page. It went from about 250 pages. It's now down to 8 pages. And so I'm going to leave that with Lainey and Lance. That needs to be turned in by June 8th. And then we should be up and live and running by midsummer. So, I mean, I think that's really exciting. That'll be great for the public as well. And then the second big item I'd like to report on are the American Rescue Act, the ARPA funds. So I have been working on that. The reports for 2021 have been turned in by April 30th, as they were supposed to be. Tonight you'll see that you have an ordinance to accept MRPC to take over those duties. And I just want to let you know that the report for 2021 has been turned in and has been filed and was accepted. And that I hope that you approve that contract to have MRPC do it, because it would take a load off of Lainey. And then if that approves tonight, I would like to go ahead and give password information to Kelly St. Blair down at MRPC. Also, Mayor Leathers and City Clerk Lainey Garbo do have access to that. I'm going to go over that extensively with Lainey before I leave, and then I'll take my name off. I just wanted to give you those updates.
Thank you, Chris. Council, is there any questions before we get down to that bill, which would be bill number 2049? Basically, again, just allowing for at least the interim for MRPC to take over some of those duties to help facilitate the necessary paperwork for us to maintain these ARPA funds. Is there any questions or comments about that? We'll touch more again on it once we get there. Anything for Chris? Thank you. Ronnie, GOC?
The only thing that I have for you guys, no notes, tornado siren test today. to the cloudiness. I'm still looking at those grants. I am going to have to talk to Chris and Laney about the audit because I have to have a copy of the audit to send to grant organizations. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. So if I can get a copy, then I'm ready to go. So that's all I have for you guys.
I would say part of that audit report that we were going to receive tonight, that we will receive later, probably feel gives you the final audit that you need to move forward. So that should be coming soon.
Yeah. So
I'll email that to everyone. You should have it by the end of the week.
So as soon as I get that, I can get stuff moving on my end.
Thank you, sir. Anything for Rob?
Rodney, you did a good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Discussion of current projects. I just put this on there as a reminder and sort of a roundtable. Being that Craig has been gone now for a little bit of time, and we have a budget coming up. Literally just got an email reminder back out to the supervisors and the necessary departments to again get your budget worksheets turned in. I'm hoping to get with Chris Monday evening prior to her final day with the city to try and see where we're at and what we've received and start putting some of this budget stuff together. Why we have the opportunity for Chris to assist us with that. But that just kind of made me start thinking about some of these current projects. One specifically, and it worked out great at 80s here, on the three-phase, the 7200. So as we're finishing out this budget year, how is that project looking as far as what we had to complete on this budget? I know part of our 2-year plan was we were going to take a break from that three-phase, finish that other part of town that you had greater concern of, which we've approved to do. But where are we with finishing that first phase of that 7200?
Waiting on material coming.
Okay.
Some of the material has been back ordered for 6 months now, or 6 months ago.
Nice.
And so we're waiting on that. Then we got other projects that's kind of come up right now, like the three-phase for the old tire shop, and some other secondary services. Look at the Oaks, we got change transformer and do secondary service there. And everything being so wet right now, so it's just kind of
tough to get it done. So it likely that phase may not be completed by June 30th, depending on when the material shows up. Probably not.
But on the new budget that I've been working on, it is to finish.
Okay, so
Because when it got budgeted in last year, I never got hold of that budget last year. That was the old supervisor. Some of them polls are pretty old, and we've been having to go through. When we've been going through change transformers, we've been seeing a lot of polls, so we've been replacing poles. There's no point in putting a brand new transformer on a pole that's got 5 years left.
Sure.
So we've been having to replace poles as we go.
Well, I guess my main thing to you and all other supervisors, and you can relay it, is, again, since we're missing that PW right now, just reach out to us for anything we can do to help. I don't really know what else to say, so utilize us and your committees to the best of your ability. We're happy to help. Try to get you guys whatever you need.
If you guys got any other concerns in the 24/7, please let me know.
Any questions for the electric department or discussion about any other existing jobs that was on this budget? Yes.
The lights at the football field, you ever get them in?
It has been far too wet to get a shot.
I just wonder about that for a couple weeks ago.
We will make ruts out of this world in our football.
Well, we have the lights on.
They're just gonna have to wait till it got there.
Okay.
Because you can't even climb them poles or replace the poles. You can't even check far enough. It's gotta be a truck.
I would absolutely love to be able to mow my yard. I can't even do that. So certainly understand.
I just want to talk about the project though, since we got projects on the list, but I'd like to know where we're at Washington Engineering on that water problem over here by the holding tank.
So I think
they have a starting date or a finishing date. I ain't heard nothing.
Cameron, I think, is going to be at the next meeting. Actually, he has that project to give us an update on, as well as some other stuff he's been working on. Not sure if that's part of the looping or what else. But he's supposed to debrief us on exactly where he's at the next meeting, and I think it's probably going to be to the point where we're ready to go ahead and seek bids to get the work completed.
I just want
So that should fall in line also with wrapping up the budget I know there was some dedicated money towards that project, and not all of it's been allotted for or spent yet, so that should still exist. We may have to roll it over. I know we don't have to do those terms because nothing happens until we transfer it, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I think Cameron will be here at the next meeting actually to give us an update on that.
Thank you.
You bet. Anything else?
I do.
Yes, sir.
I've been looking at that Dude Solution software, logging into that and looking at those work orders. I got a couple of reports that I was gonna show the council, but if you could pass it on, I think I wanna try to come over on one Friday and take a look at it, but can you pass it on to some of the supervisors to try to be a little bit more detailed in what they're putting those in there? We don't, just a little bit more than, replace hydrant or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Okay, that's water. So
I know that's water.
So use me for example. Then. So how about electric? How would you like for me to put that?
If you guys are doing a repair, I think the location is on there. I believe I've seen the location on there.
It is.
But maybe just a reason for the repair, or the reason for the call. Transformer out. Car hit the pole, whatever, you know, just something so we know why we were there. It's not a big reason, it just helps us understand what part is maintenance and what part is reactive. What's proactive and what portion is reactive.
And I know as far as me, when I fill out the job orders, I can do the reactive. There's 2 tabs on there, reactive maintenance, and then underneath reactive maintenance, you've got a whole list of say pull down, pull outage, there's stuff like the meter changing and stuff, little stuff like that. But it is on there.
Right. What that does is that helps us understand what our labor load could look like.
Right.
So if you have a bunch of reactive work orders and you're not getting the proactive stuff done, then that tells the council that we may be low on manpower. Does that make sense? So it's important to, you don't gotta get major detailed and write a letter.
Yeah.
It just has to be a little bit more information on that.
Yeah, it's got a. Mind if I pull it up real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm memory sometimes not fast.
It's actually pretty cool. I run some reports, but some of the reports I was gonna print out for everybody, they don't have as much information on it. You're just not gonna really know what's going on. But it lists purchase orders and stuff that they purchased for that. It's pretty nice. You can see what your costs are.
Yeah, I see here, it's got it's got an address on there. I pulled it up on the map.
Yeah, it's nice because you can pull up the city of Cuba map and you can see
It's got action taken off. So I guess as far as me, I can start filling out the action taken off. So it don't keep up, but I can. That's where I can write where that target goal.
just a sentence or so. You know exactly what you're doing.
That work.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Hey, while we got you, you want to go ahead and do your transformer bids? We'll jump back to number 9. So Andy's brought us some bids for some transformers. Were these budgeted items that you had planned on purchasing this year, or is this a different or a new expense?
This is probably going to be a new expense. No, okay, new expense. All I know is we're low on add-ons. We have 125 kVA transformer and 250 kVA transformers. So if I have to use another 25 here between now and get transformers, I'm going to have 25 here. Okay, that's the most common one.
Understood. With that being said, it sounds like we better go ahead and move forward with these then. So first we have a single phase pole mount 25 kVA transformer.
Yes, that is for the school ball fields there on Main Street. They're redoing all their lighting there, and they need 24480, so they need this transformer.
Okay. What are your specific bids for this unit?
There's
25, I see 2. pull mount, pad mount.
There's two on there, yes. There's,
So one is this one.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
we're gonna work from this one.
So we have two bids, that's what I'm trying to gather.
They're very confusing, I have to sit down
Yes.
and really decipher these bits. So for the 25 KVA pull mounts,
Right, ten
this
fifty
is what,
and
don't go
18.
go there, though.
We're gonna go there, alright.
Now, this one?
Yep.
This is one from this Emerald Transformer,
Understood.
1050. 1835 from the Sunbelt Solomon.
So the first one, the single phase pole mount, we have two bids, one for $10,050 and one for $1,835. Is there a motion?
Motion to pay the 1050.
Motion by Granny, second by Baus, to move forward with a bid from Emerald Transformer for $1,050. Next item up bid was a single phase pad mount, 25 kVA.
So for the pad mount 25, it will be this one right here.
Okay.
Did you circle it?
I did not.
Wait,
It's
okay.
very confusing.
So pad mount, we have one bid from Sunbelt for $5,745, as well as a bid from Midwest for $6,595. So $57.45 and $65.95. Is there a motion?
Motion approved, 5745.
Motion by Baus for a transformer at $5,745. Second by Black. All in favor say aye. Opposed. And then that takes us to our single phase pad mount 50 kVA, which is a bid from Sunbelt for $6,045, and a bid from Midwest for $8,410.
Motion approved, 6045.
Motion by Baus to accept Sunbelt for $6,045. Second by Grady. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. That should take care of those, right, sir?
yes, sir. The reason why there's kind of messed up like that is because, Panama transformers are really hard to find right now.
Okay.
Emerald, if I remember right. Yeah, Emerald doesn't have any. Brand new transformers right now are 3 years out with pad mounts. And then so since a lot of utilities do buy brand new ones, since they're 3 years out, they're starting to go to reconditioned transformers. So it's starting to take a hit on us now. We can't find it. Gotcha. Used to it. So
Appreciate you staying ahead of it.
yes, sir.
Thank you. So that'll take us back up one to line item number 9, and just a topic of discussion here with our Public Works Director position. We do know now that obviously Craig's been gone. I think the council directed Lance to take a look at the current job description. I think the discussion was to possibly remove any language that had to do with needing any building inspection, licensing or permitting as a qualification. And I believe your recommendation is or was to just omit that without having to recreate a new description.
Correct. And it can be done by motion.
Okay.
It doesn't require an ordinance or resolution.
Okay. So council and or committee, if that's where we are at with it, I'm not sure, but discussion of Public Works Director position and what we want to do moving forward.
I'll make that motion to remove that language. I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to remove the language from the job description that has to do with requiring current building inspection certifications.
Discussion on that.
Yes.
Later on, will we require the public works director to take classes so that they do it afterwards?
I think it would probably be a good idea. And committee, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the idea is to broaden the scope of potential applicants in the meantime, right?
Yeah, and also I know, there are surrounding municipalities that don't have their public works director do that at all. Right now, we are obviously paying Bob, I think, 1 day a week. I know that he would like to continue to do that. He also, I talked to him yesterday, the fire department is, I guess, beginning to do like commercial inspections and stuff, so that may take that responsibility kind of out of our hands.
I talked to Chief Plank today on something different that I just had for new business, and I asked him about the inspections, And I said, you know, if we go in the direction to where we retain Bobby and we possibly contract, say, Arthur or whomever would be awarded that contract, if we go that route, I said, you know, what are your thoughts? And he felt that that is something that would work. However, he didn't make any mention to me about them assuming any of those responsibilities.
So that could be accurate for Bobby, so.
Okay.
She just wanted to know.
I mean, again, I would welcome that, but he didn't seem to be that they were going to be able to do any of that for us.
Okay.
But the motion is second is to remove that language from the current job description. So before we do anything else with it, was all in favor say aye? Is everybody to oppose that? Okay, so that means that language will be removed. What do we want to do with that moving forward? Are you guys wanting to go ahead and advertise for this position, or are you wanting to try to run it without a public works director? What is the intention of the council in regard to our public works director position?
I mean, my thoughts on it are that we should post it, and I don't think we'd be in any rush. We can, you know, filter through the applicants and, you know, kind of see what we get first. So that would be, I'll make that motion to post it immediately.
I can remember when we didn't have a public works director and all the supervisors ran their own departments, they ran just fine. But as you get bigger and budget more and more, then you have to get someone who has more authority.
Sure.
But right now, from what I've seen over there, when I've talked to all the supervisors, everything's running okay. Good. And if they have any problems, I told them, call the committees and ask for you if they have a major problem, and so far, I haven't heard of problems.
Well, one thing I would add is if we do run ads and we do collect a bunch of applicants, you know, we don't have to hire anybody, but we can at least see what's out there. So, say we make the motion to post for the position
Yes.
internally and externally at the same time.
Yes.
And I know in the past we've discussed trying to get this more of a larger area statewide, and maybe run it for 14 days, or again, try to get all this in one motion if we can.
Didn't we say at the last meeting that you say you wanted to run it for almost 4 weeks?
I'm asking for a motion. Doesn't make any difference to me.
I mean, I like 4 weeks better than 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you said 30. I thought we talked about 30 days.
you said that go all week.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if we're gonna do it, we should
Work 10 meeting.
try to get some statewide classified, some online resources, you know, just whatever it takes, yeah. So motion to remove that language is already passed, so a motion by Black and a second by Baus to go ahead and post for the position internally and externally for 30 days, utilizing as much job help websites and materials, newspapers, media that we can. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Okay. With that, on the job description, we do have a salary tier, which the public works director would fall into. Will there be any concern about that pay with removing some of those duties?
I believe our previous public works director was not fulfilling those duties, so I don't think it should have an effect. Personally.
Is there any motion to hear one way or the other? Or just leave it alone?
Just leave it alone and we'll look at the applicants and discuss, maybe we decide to hire one.
So that being said, it would, I guess, just fall into that existing tier at this point in time. All right, we did all in favor say aye. Sorry, I got lost. Anything else in regard to the discussion of public works director?
Hey,
Yes.
first work director, always signed off on our work orders, $2,500 per hire. I believe we should let our supervisors, or appoint one person to sign off on POs. I've been called up there 3 or 4 times to go up there to sign off on PO over, they're like $1,400, over $400. I think that the supervisor should be able to go up to $2,500. I know they said they had a hard time getting hold of Jeff, he works and stuff, and he got to get 2 signatures. But this is something about Cody, you know.
Is there anything we would have to change?
We would have to require an ordinance change because we did it as a big process. I remember setting up like a 3-tier system
have, and in the interim, or at least for now, you would like to make a motion to allow Lance to revisit that and make a resolution to allow the supervisors to have the authority for $2,500 and above?
Yes,
Okay. So is that your motion?
that's my motion.
So we do have a motion to allow Lance to draw a resolution to allow supervisors to sign POs for $2,500 and above. Is there a second to that? Okay. Now that there's a second, is there any further discussion, thoughts, concerns?
I was gonna bring that up too, because I've been done the same thing he did, calling me in
Okay.
for those, that they can actually do it themselves. Some of these, that's up to 2,500, they have to get the prices in right then.
Right.
If they don't like the price in then, they lose out, then they gotta wait 6 months to get their supplies.
Do you have any other input for that from a legal standpoint, or?
No, I mean, the whole point of it is to make sure that the guys have approval for the things that they're purchasing.
Right.
But they're right. I mean, right now, things are so far backward, and prices are being requoted
By daily, hourly.
So if, and obviously, you know, there's been a little bit of inflation that has taken place this year. It's not inappropriate, I think, at least at this point, to grant them that authority. They just need to be turned in, so that the city keeps track of the amount of money that we have. It's just a fiscal.
Right. And once the committees was signing, I guess the supervisor would then get those POs turned in at the time the POs were due, or hopefully around that time. So just kind of remove that step. So we carry that motion, Lance, I guess, but at the next meeting, you could just have a resolution for us to pass.
I'll draft a change in the ordinance so that.
So just might need the committees to keep doing that in the next 2 weeks, but then maybe it'll be.
How many supervisors would have that authority?
I guess electric, natural gas, water and sewer, street, grounds, you know, however many departments we have. Plus, you know, I guess in all of public works will fall underneath that. We can get you an exact list.
I think that it would be a good idea to do that, just so that we clarify. I mean, leave it to me, all I'm gonna be able to refer to is the supervisors. I think if we have a list of departments that have supervisors, that might give some clarity.
We can make sure you get that information just requested. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, so we'll have that change to be made at the next meeting. Any other discussion in the realm of the public works director scenario? Animal control, Ms. Mullally.
I just wanted to give everybody an update on the feral cat issues that we've had. I think Lady put it in everyone's packet, the notes that I made. I guess the one thing that I really need from Public Works, I guess, is last year, Hood Park, we cleaned it all up for the fair. And now, for some reason, there's more dumping there at that location, and several people are feeding them. There's these, on the hog barn, there's these, I guess they're like little vents that need to be put back on our hog barn, because the cats are getting in there and they're destroying a lot of things in the barn, which is also attracting raccoons and skunks and possums. There's also a door that's boarded up over there, so if the Public Works could get with Cameron and see if we can get the access inside there, we can trap inside. Right now, we can't trap there for one, because everybody's feeding. And if we could get the traps inside, I think we'd be more successful in trying to clean Hood Park up again. We've got at least 16 over there, several of them are pregnant. It's attracting raccoons and wildlife, and it's adding to the building damage. So that's pretty important right there. And then we have Highland Terrace and Root Subdivision. It's a very heavy feral cat area and feeding area. There's actually a house on Locust Street that has feeding bowls, water bowls, and actual outside cat houses on their front porch, just attracting it. And then, of course, the neighbors are upset, with the feral cats. And it's just impossible for us to trap in these locations because so many people are feeding. We've got a problem on Magnolia and the surrounding areas, on Shenandoah. There's so many people that feed outside cats, it's becoming crazy. Pear Tree Park is a big area around McLeod, School Street, Zach Drive, still a big area of concern, even though we cleared Zach Drive last year. It's just, I don't know what to do anymore. If people keep feeding their cats outside, it's just attracting other cats. We can clean up an area, and if they continue to feed outside, we're just going to attract more cats and more wildlife. So I don't know. I know we didn't want to say before that we can't feed outside, but I mean, these cats just roam everywhere. They should have the same running at large ticket a dog gets, but it's just so hard to figure out who owns the cat. Well, that's not my cat. We have people screaming at us that they don't want to quit feeding the cats, and then on the other hand, people screaming at us that we're not doing enough. And I don't know the solution. I've been doing it 9 years now. We clean it up, and then it just goes back to the same thing. And I would love to try to figure out something where at least we can get a little better handle on it. I feel like we don't have a cat problem, we have a people problem, and they are not responsible. When they're feeding the cats, they're just letting them continue to breed, and it's a mess. You all know it, you see it. And I just wanted to be proactive on it because I need help with it. I don't know what I can do.
Missy, what do you do with the cats if you have to take a feral cat?
If we take a feral cat, they're euthanized.
So these people that are feeding these cats, you catch them, and they want to claim them, write them a ticket. If they don't want to claim it, I know what it's like to have to euthanize them, but
it's $35 a cat to euthanize, just FYI. It's crazy, but we can get them young enough. We have 2 pregnant mamas over there right now and several other cats, so we can get the one mama cat is feral. If we get the babies in time, we can adopt them out. And I think we're just going to get her spayed and make her one of our shelter outside cats. It's crazy. People are upset, and I don't know what to tell them anymore. And Cameron's on vacation this week. I know he's working at your mom's house. I think he's got it almost cleared up. But I mean, that's another situation where we have a citizen that's not feeding but being bothered by it. So we're trying to clean them up first. And then we go with the, we basically tell people if you're feeding your outside cat, we can't trap because.
Right, it's gonna trap it.
Yeah, I can't trap your cat and let your cat go if, and we actually have phone calls.
my mom's not feeding.
No, your mom's not.
She was, and I told her to quit.
Okay, good. I
I
think
think
you're
she's
doing
sorry for them.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
people
And that's the
across-
problem, and I understand that, but we gotta get them spayed and neutered if they're gonna do that, and they're, you know the whole drill, you know it better than anyone. So, I just want everybody to think about it, and it's just, the problem is not going away until we try something different, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the staff and the shelter and the charity and everything that you have available to you, you're doing what you can. I know that's not enough to solve the problem entirely, but you guys aren't causing the problem. You're just trying to help the problem, and we need to come up with something better than, well, hey, we're maxed out and we've got all of our traps out and we're out of funds and we've got a full shelter. Sorry, can't help you. There needs to be something that we can do. I just mentions, the Missouri revised statutes on ownership of animals. How do we root it, I don't know, I mean, I get it,
That's
it's such a,
They go
it's
out.
such a difficult deal to stop until the public quits.
Right.
But all you can do is all you and your staff can do. And if it doesn't clean up the whole problem, then I know you're one that gets the calls and has to deal with it and see it, but at least you know you're maxing out your capabilities. Outside of that, there's gotta be some ownership with the community.
Yeah, for example, like Hood Park, for example, maybe the public places, we can put signage up or something, you know, do not be, or whatever, but, I mean, there are these ladies that go over there every single day and feed them, and we talk to them, and they say, nobody's coming, not to feed anything.
Right.
You know, we've had the police talk to them, we've had public works talk to them, they're over here trying to fix situations, and, I mean, it's almost to a point where, you know, maybe we'll just pick up the nice adoptable stray cats and let the girls go, but you can't do that either.
Sure.
But
Well, I'll definitely have Cameron get with Public Works and getting some of those buildings secured whenever he returns. And yeah, I don't know, maybe look and see if there's any existing ordinances. There probably is in other cities, municipalities, whatever, that says, hey, you know, feeding animals on public property, city property is, you know, you can get fined for that.
yeah, I think at least maybe we get more teeth with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you know, start with at least city properties before we start trying to find people to do it at home.
Right.
You know, that might even be a thing, but
Yeah, we might have more teeth with that.
yeah.
You have to write an ordinance.
Yeah, I think that's how you have to adopt one if we're gonna assess fines. You know, but I'm sure there's probably examples out there you could bring to us and we could have plans to look at, and at least on public grounds.
Yeah, we
City
can
grounds.
start there, yeah.
You know, because yeah, it's costing the city money to repair these buildings.
Yeah, and to use the nice.
You got rid of the city tag.
So
We
that's,
still have the rabies tag.
right,
Rabies,
right, we
right?
have to have a rabies tag.
So go to these places where they have that are feeding the cats, and if the cats they claim don't have a rabies tag, because that would identify them.
Right.
Write them a ticket for not
Yeah,
having that.
and they go, oh, it's not my cat, oh, that must be, it's just, that's maddening. But I just want everybody to know that, we're not ignoring the issue, I'm gonna keep you more informed on what we deal with the feral cats, so, you know, nobody's coming to me going, let's see what about the feral cats, you know. We are, definitely, it's definitely a problem and we're working on it.
Well, thank you for that. And then I know secondarily you have some possible amendments to your ordinances in regard to adequate animal care, specifically food, water, and shelter. All looks pretty basic.
Yeah, my committee had a meeting on it, it's been a while now, and I know I've emailed the revisions to Lance. Our current, ordinance, the definition, adequate care, it's just defined as normal and prudent attention. What I've done was I've taken adequate care and I added what it means for food, water, shelter. And I would just like to incorporate that under this definition of what adequate care is. I have sent it to Lance, and he wrote the wording, I believe, and my committee was okay with the revisions that we talked about.
So we just need a motion for Lance to go ahead and draw these changes into a resolution as opposed to her current ordinances. Is there a motion from a member of the council for Lance to do so? Motion by Copeland, second by Mouse. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll get that drawn out for you as well. Anything from Missy? Thank you. Tell Cameron we said good job with the nuisance stuff as well.
I will. He's on vacation this week, but I will tell him.
Well, when he gets back, I'm sure there'll be a lot of grass needs cut, so he's gonna be good. I'll get
speed up the process for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chief.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Good.
Hungry?
You too. Nice and quick. Cameron's on vacation. I don't have any nuisance to report. I do have a couple other things to talk about though. As you know, since Robbie has resigned from the city, he was our detective. Our Corporal Mike Santunzi has picked up the slack there, and detective, but I want that to, as far as the board to know that he is our detective, he's doing a great job, clearing up a lot of cases, old cases, new cases, things like that, and I'd like to get him, see him get compensated for that position. And as well as that, eliminating Steve Sharpenberg's command sergeant, which he is currently at, and moving him to a lieutenant position, and see that he gets compensated for that. So that's where we're at, that's where I'm moving into, and then just eliminating the corporal and the command sergeant position.
As a committee, it's my recommendation to let Doug move forward with that. And advance it to get him the proper pay.
These are go forward movements, promotions.
Yes, based on the retirement of Yates.
So that would be my motion.
Okay, motion by Bouse to allow the necessary promotions with the according pay by Bouse.
Second.
Second by Golden. Any further discussion on that? Yes, they're already assuming these are job responsibilities. Obviously, we have budgets and salaries coming up, but being that you've already promoted them and put them in these positions,
Correct.
then they should probably be properly compensated.
Correct. They've been working positions on a probationary period for since Robbie has resigned. So it's working out great.
It was a probationary period on.
Whenever I say that.
I would say effective immediately is what you're asking for.
Yeah. It's up to council that. Yes.
Yeah. And so the motion by Bouse, second by Copeland, to allow these promotions to take place with the according salaries effective immediately.
Just one quick question. So Robbie was both lieutenant and the detective.
He kind of held both those positions at that time.
So do we have, since we're replacing Robbie with essentially two people filling different parts of that role, is that broke out in our salary study? Like how do we know we're going to pay?
I don't know the answer to that question. I didn't know that there was a combined duty there.
I knew he was detective and also lieutenant, and Steve Sharpenberg will not be filling the detective role, just the lieutenant.
Right. But
So
we're eliminating his command sergeant position.
So that put him, I guess, technically
Still in the same place, different title.
third in command. So I don't know. I'm all for it. Yes, but I want to know, like, how are we going to give them raises? It's just easy to.
I would say that if there's a tier in place that these positions fall into, that's where they would fall. But I mean, that's a question for Chris. Have you met with her to discuss any of this?
We have met before, and I think she briefly told me what the tiers were.
As long as there's like a tier 4 detective called out, then that.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah.
Sitting here right now.
Yeah, we haven't met recently, so I don't.
Not really, yeah, it wasn't recently, it was before, but there wasn't a tier for each of those positions.
If that's it, then ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I would say get with Chris in the next couple of days so we can take a close look at those tiers in case we do need to make some adjustments to make this work the way it should be. Outside of that, as far as the promotions and necessary pay increases, or at least to investigate what those might look like, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Who's on that committee? I can just send it to the committee and they can speak with them if you'd like.
Please, Glenn.
Please is Bouse and
Dave.
Honey, yes, sorry. So yeah, we'll start with that.
Okay, and I can add Alderman Black on there as well, since he has a
Last thing.
Yes.
We did have property damage, so not to go back to public works discussion, guys, but we had property damage out there on the bathrooms again at Patty's Play Place. Bathrooms tore up. We did find those people. We don't know, we don't have a key to lock the building up, so we need a point of contact with Public Works for restitution on property damage. We don't have anybody to tell us what it's going to cost to fix it, or, in other words, our report's going to stay open until we have that, and we can't take it to court until we have restitution.
You need somebody to give you an estimate on the amount of the damages.
Yeah.
And you also need a key.
But if they want it locked up right now, or something else,
Understood.
we don't need it, police want it.
There's a man right back
I
there.
thought Jerry said he didn't lock it up.
Okay, okay.
I cleaned it up Monday
Okay.
and locked it because there's another one that they could use as well. And I did order new sinks today, and they came this afternoon. So hopefully tomorrow, or next day, maybe Thursday, when it's supposed to rain, I can put the sink up and get all that working again, open it.
Oh, okay, so I didn't know Jerry was gonna
Okay.
install.
So yeah, if you get some material costs, Jerry, and some labor costs,
Okay.
to Doug, we can.
Because I don't know where we stand as a whole, if I'll take care of the parks, or if it's everybody's thrown in, which we all do.
Right, right.
But for the most part, I've been trying to look over all that stuff.
Sure.
As I'm there, or every morning, kind of make a routine, hit them all, see what's going on, clean them up, and pull them up.
Right.
Get some restitution out of it.
That would be great.
Yes.
Well, thank you for doing that, Jerry. And then, yeah, if you can just get him a material cost, and I assume we can use our labor hour cost as well. That it takes for you to clean it and everything that you've done to this point, get the sinks installed.
Right.
That can all be packaged into that amount.
I ordered, they had 2 in stock, so I got them both. So we have another one just in case.
Well, that's, you didn't have to say that out loud. But no, just go with Doug, and so that way you can get a number together on this case.
Okay.
And then, yes, conversations to be had about what we're gonna do, obviously, with grounds and parks and all that stuff too. Thank you. Anything else? Kevin?
I do. The Patty's playground, I was home, I think Saturday, Sunday, when it was vandalized. I was sitting at the table, my phone went off. Text message. It was a video of them vandalizing the bathroom. And then later on, Mom called me and apologized for the child, but she can't control the child. But I knew pretty quickly it was vandalized, they had a video of it. And they sent it to me. So, another thing I have for you, the school officer, Bruce House officer, where we at on that? Have you talked to him, have you not?
I'm working, I've been talking with the sheriff's lane, and I'm working on budgets and stuff like that, and I'm gonna be talking with the school board members and stuff like that. We'll get there by budget time, if we have to.
I just wanted, but yeah, I did get a video on that.
I think we got it. We have got it.
So, were charges pressed, or are we just looking for the damages to be paid?
It's going to the juvenile office.
Yeah, it was zero.
I didn't know how that worked, if like it was up to the city, if they wanted to press charges or not, or.
I think we just kind of assumed again, employees are good. And
No, I mean, no argument here, I didn't know the process.
We assume the court, the council would want to press charges, otherwise we would get restitution.
Now, Mr. Mayor, years ago, I believe the council passed an ordinance or talking about if somebody was report vandalizing, they got like $500 reward in the park. I don't know if it's still up, you know what I'm saying? That was so, something happened, but he moved it up. I don't know if he ever did it or not, but I did pass one.
Are you the one who reported it?
Well, again, we're going through everything online. Have you seen anything, Chris, that resembled a reward for damages that's in
You know,
ordinance?
I feel like I've heard that too before. I can't place the ordinance off the top of my head, can you? But I do kind of remember hearing that at some point.
I haven't seen it in the ordinance book.
Well, if
My
you
name
can
is
find that
Glenn.
ordinance, Kevin, we'll make sure that it's known.
Well, I know we talked about, I thought we passed it. Because we put a sign up in the park, but never did.
We may have to do that if we can find that ordinance.
They tore the signs down.
Probably the first one they take down.
Well, you know, I got the video, so, you know, that online, what is this? Then they had on the bottom of Patty's Playground. Oh, man.
Anything else for Doug? Thank you, sir. Moving on, bill number 2049. This is an actual ordinance. So we require 2 readings. Is there a motion for the first reading of bill number 2049? Motion by Val, second by Grady. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. First reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into a technical assistance contract with Merrimack Regional Planning Commission for American Rescue Plan Act administration.
For the first reading, bill number 2049, motion to accept. Motion by Val, second by Grady. Poll the council, please.
Bass.
Yes.
Holtz.
Yes.
Ready.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Copeland.
Yes.
Okay, first reading moves forward with a vote 5-0. Motion for the second reading, bill number 2049. Motion by Bouse, second by Grady. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into a technical assistance contract with Merrimack Regional Planning Commission for American Rescue Plan Act administration.
For the second reading, bill number 2049, motion to approve. Motion by Bouse. Second by Black. Poll the council, please.
Copeland.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Grady.
Yes.
Holmes. Bass.
Second reading moves with a vote 5-0. That is now special ordinance or
852.
special ordinance 852. 852. Second one is a resolution, so it only requires one reading. Is there a motion for the first and only reading of bill number 2050? Motion by Bouse. Second by Black. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading, please.
A resolution accepting the proposed emergency plan and adopting the proposed emergency plan as the emergency plan for the city of Cuba, Missouri.
For the first reading for the resolution, motion to approve. Motion by Bouse. Second by Grady. Poll the council, please.
Bass.
Yes.
Holmes.
Yes.
Grady.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Copeland.
Yes.
And it is now resolution number 0503 to be attached to bill number 2050. Council. Old unfinished new business. I have two things. These are phone calls I received right before I came up here this afternoon. One of those was on the burnt building on 66. That was the currently was a secondhand shop, I believe. There's been a lot of stuff over the years. You guys know the building I'm talking about. Chief Plink called me. They are having difficulties getting a hold of property owners and insurance companies for that building, but they are concerned about the safety of that structure, and are wondering if anything or what, if anything, they can do or we can do or Lance can do to help get that building safe and secure, whether that would be us boarding it and sending them a bill or attaching that to the property. I don't think we want to go as far as, or nor should we go as far as take the building down. Very well be under investigation or something. The chief just wanted to relay at least to the council that they aren't able to get into contact with anybody to get that building deemed safe to his standards. And he doesn't want us to have any liability. He wants to be known that they're trying to get in touch with the right people. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Lance. If you would like to try to reach out, if he provides you the information to the insurance company or the owners of that building, or
Is there an insurance company to be in contact with?
I believe so.
Yeah, if you give me their information, they'll probably respond to us pretty directly.
Okay, so I will get with you tomorrow and chief and have them at least try to get you the necessary parties information to see if you can't get something to move on. Yes.
Oddly enough, I talked to one of the owners of that building today.
Okay.
A totally different related issue, and they were telling us that they're trying to work with their insurance company, and they are having a hard time also.
Okay.
So it's Mr. Kulik's daughter and son-in-law is who I spoke to literally just today. I spoke to the husband and wife.
Okay, and that might be the whole story. They're trying to figure out what to do with their insurance company. They don't want to touch anything in the meantime, you know. Mainly, Chief Plank just wanted to let it be known to us and to the public that, you know, if anybody feels that it's unsafe the way it is right now, that, you know, they're trying to find a solution as well.
And really all they need to do is board it up and secure it.
Well, maybe you can give Lainey tomorrow and get the information from the folks that she spoke with, as well as she can provide you Chief Plank's information.
That's fine.
Maybe you can make some phone calls.
It's pretty collapsed. I don't know if there's a lot of boarding up to be done.
I know, there may not be, I mean, I don't even know if there's caution tape around the thing right now, I'm not sure. It's probably pulled apart.
Those all the hard boards are still stacked in front of it.
Don't know that there's anything we can do, but he just wanted everybody to know that they're not ignoring it. So I told him I'd bring that up and feel free to reach out to Lainey.
If it is not a structure that can be secured, I don't know what else you can do other than tear it down.
Right, and surely that's probably what they're waiting on their insurance company for, but until they get a go-ahead from their insurance company, especially if the insurance is wanting to do some investigations or something, that's probably, I think it's probably just.
Is it a two-story building?
It's a single story. It's a large commercial building, not that large, but big.
And at least one wall is pretty much collapsed, the front wall.
Lots of the front and one of the sides.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's
For
gone.
the most part.
It started in attic work its way there.
Well, there's a whole lot that they can do, then, I mean, I think at a certain point, you're gonna have to be patient till somebody.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, I would say that the property owner is gonna be liable for any incidences in the meantime, not the city of Cuba by any means, but again, Chief just wanted everybody to understand that they've tried to do their due diligence on getting that structure cleaned up.
I would tell you, I don't think the insurance company will drag their heels too much. If they will realize how much liability they have if somebody is injured there, and they won't let that play.
Right.
Because that'll cost them.
Understood. Second thing I had for you, council, the Roger Bridgman Park Board President reached out to me. This is all new information to me, but I learned a little bit about how the process works. This goes in regard to our lifeguard certifications. So out of all the lifeguards that we agreed to hire, most of them had certifications that were still good from last year. I think there were 5 that did not have certifications that were needing to get them. I think 3 of those individuals have since pursued other opportunities for summer jobs rather than the pool. That leaves us with 2 individuals that need to be certified. From what I understand, the way history works with this, or at least for recent however many years, the individuals, the children themselves, for lack of a better term, the lifeguard applicants, they pay for their certification up front, right? And then they go to Rolla or wherever to go get it done. They get their certification. In the past, it's cost $200. Okay, yes, it's coming from Roger. And then, if they completed the full term of the season by working at the pool, the city would return half of that money. They write them a check for $100 back, right? But they had to pay it up front. Well, from what I understand is the cost is now went up to $300. And that is a difficult thing, you know, for kids to come up with, to go get a summer job, have to pay $300 to go get a summer job. He's not asking for anything, but he would just want me to bring it up. The only recommendation I have is to try to do something similar, to where maybe they pay $150 up front to go get their certification. We can allow the park board to pay the other $150 for these 2 individuals. But then at the end of their term, if they make it the whole time, they can get some of that money rebated back like we have done with others in the past. And I know I'm kind of butchering that up, but that's the long and the short of it. Traditionally, these kids pay it out of their own pocket up front to get the certification.
Well, that would be a wash.
Right.
So
in the past, yeah, it would have been a wash.
200, and they get 100 back at the end.
That's $100 out of their pocket.
So if it's 150 and we pay 150,
and we give them 75 back.
No, it's a wash.
You're saying instead of doing that thing.
It's the same thing.
Understood.
They have to work the whole summer.
They just have to work the whole summer.
No money
Right.
transit.
You get nothing back.
You get nothing. We already paid that.
Because we already paid half. Understood. And that's fair. If that's something you guys want to do. Obviously, we always run the risk of spending that money and 3 weeks later they quit and now they're certified, they go somewhere else, but
that's a nuisance. You'll send a chief after.
yeah, but it's also at least fold as much as we could towards that amount out of their last paycheck if they don't work all summer or whatever. And again, up for discussion if we're willing to even help. And it's not us helping, it's allowing the park board to use some of their funds to help them. And it's 2 individuals. Yes, Kevin?
Do we have city arms on that?
No.
Because I remember they did take certification, we paid that. I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I don't, whatever you guys want to do.
Kids.
Need a motion?
Make a motion to help them.
Okay.
Would it, since it's 300 now, let's make it simple on us, we'll just reimburse them 150 at the end of the year.
Well, I think the problem originally, Sam, is them coming up with that money up front, the whole amount on their own. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
figure.
For 16.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna pay $300 in your whole first month of work. You know?
We front them the $150, and if they make it through the season, we're good. If they don't make it through the season, we take whatever we can back out of their last paycheck.
I like that.
Okay.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, so motion by Mouse to allow the park board to put $150 towards the $300. The applicant would be responsible for the remaining $150 balance. If they stay for the whole season, then it's a wash. If they were to leave, yes.
While you're making the motion, you're just talking about just these two for this year.
Yeah, just these two for this year. Now again, let's see here, make this any more difficult than it needs to be, or play devil's advocate. What if we run into, and I don't know how this worked in the past, if there's anybody in this room that can speak to it, please elaborate. Would say a kid has to leave the job because of something that's not their fault, or they got sick, or they got hurt, or...
Well, if they got fired, then I'd say they're out of money.
You're still gonna pay it. It's a case per case basis.
They get hurt, man. I mean,
yeah, I'm just...
I mean, you know, if they're certified,
I'm saying, you know,
they always come back the next following year, most of the time they do.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not trying to create this any more difficult than it needs to be.
Why don't we just pay it?
Well, something needs to be done next year, but we're 20 days away and we gotta figure this out. But I think next year this whole thing needs to be revisited entirely.
We pay for CDL, so.
Well, let's carry our motion here. We have a first and a second to pay.
I think I want to withdraw the motion, because you said if they get hurt or something, they can't, hell, they'll make them pay it back.
Well, I'm just trying to go through the scenarios in my head. You
So
know,
what, why can't we, is it legal for us to pay half of the training?
we've done it before.
I make a motion that we just pay half the training for these two kids.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Bell, second by Black, to allow the park board to spend $150 towards their training.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sounds simple enough. It's only two kids. That's all I had, council. Kevin?
I got a couple things. I left town the other day, and a lady stopped me, wanted me to know that there's gonna be I think it's called a trash bass picked up Saturday at 8 o'clock at the four-way, and asked if any of us aldermen would like to pick up some trash. I think he said there's never been a few aldermen there. They said it starts, huh?
I did.
Did you?
I
didn't know all
I've done it twice, and I will be there this
I think
Saturday.
you were there, yeah. So she wanted us, me to remind y'all that I think it starts at 8. I'm gonna try to make it so I'm not sick. And the second thing I got is Patty's Playground was vandalized, but we also had a sign at the dump. Says, put your brush behind the dump, behind the sign, and the city of Cuba pushes it off, and they burn it. Well, we had an incident that somebody put the boxes around our post and lit it, and they drove off. My question to the board is, do we want to pursue this or not? I think we should. It's damage to our property. They knew better than to put the cardboard boxes around our sign, and they lit it. There's no difference going into park, vandalizing, or burn the sign, burn our sign at the park.
We never did it.
Huh?
We never did it. They never did it.
I have not talked to them, but I feel that we should pursue this if we can find out who did this. See if we can find out who did this.
So,
What do you think, Cody?
there's been vandalism, and you're asking that if we pursue it and find out who did it,
I'd like to find who did it, if we can.
I think that goes with any vandalism scenario, right?
Huh?
Right, so are you asking us to make a motion to have the police figure out who did it?
That should be, yeah, I would. I'd love for the police department, because,
Do police one.
it's vandalizing city property. I mean, whoever did it, me or who else.
I know he is. You're still on this $500 reward for the
No, I'm not $500 worth. You have to have that crap. I'm just saying vandalizing.
Chief and Captain, would you look into the scenario and see if we can't find the culprit?
For the property damage out of the city park, are you still?
Yes, sir.
That's in the county.
Oh, it's
We're dumping on the county?
Yeah.
City property.
City property out,
Do we have cameras out there that work?
Yeah.
Well, we do have cameras.
Rodney, have you seen anything on there?
I haven't.
Might not have been anything in sight.
Well, it's kind of, we'll have to go back and do a lot of hours of looking. It is tough.
Well, I think as with any case, when it comes to city property, if there's an act of vandalism, I think the Rodney with the cameras and the police will surely do their due diligence to try to figure out who.
Well, I just wonder if vandalizing at the park and vandalizing at our dump, we dump stuff, the city property, we got our sign up there, there's no difference in my opinion, so I believe that we should look into this.
We should definitely try to figure out who did it. Agree.
See if we can find out who did it.
Okay.
I'll give a sheriff's department a second.
Anything else, Kevin?
No.
Andrew?
Today I learned the city dump is in the county.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, with Chris's impending retirement, we're going to have to obviously do something there with budget right around the corner. I spoke with an individual who would be familiar with the position, and she is interested in coming in on an interim basis, kind of get us through the budget and stuff. So I would like to make a motion that to have Cody contact Tanya Ferris and see if she would be interested in accepting the comptroller position on an interim basis as a part-time on an interim basis.
Is it
Interim comptroller,
part-time W-2 contract?
1099 W-2, I don't know. Not to exceed the 1080 or 1040 hours or however we've done in the past, but I don't even know that it'll be a full year. It's just mostly right now getting something in place for budget time.
I would say that it's a W-2 position and that it would be a part-time position only is what I would call it, because there's no way you're gonna have time to do a contract prior to. Just bring her in as a part-time person, we'll figure out through budget, and then if she wants to do something else, we can look at how to do it, but I think you're gonna have to have somebody in there right away to be able to complete budget.
And that part-time would not to exceed, what, 14.99 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know that may not even be the case, but that way it's all gotta be drawn up. Does this have to go out for ads or applicants or advertisements or?
I would say probably not, because there's no way that you're gonna be able to have time to go out and get somebody in before you're gonna need somebody for budget. I would call it an emergency hire, because you have a budget in June. And you have to have that done by June. There's no way that you can, in 2 meetings, hold interviews, meet with everybody, and then make a hire, and still have enough time to get budget done before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. So it would fall under emergency hire, it would have to be a W-2 part-time. And then what does the council need to accept? A formal offer from her, or?
Well, assuming that the council chooses to hire whatever person this is, once budget's over, the emergency's over, and then you have time to put it out for interviews if she doesn't want to be an employee, but for purpose of getting her hired to do the budget part, there's no time you're going to be able to do that.
Okay. What does the council need to formally accept, though, to allow her to be hired part-time?
I would say that what
She
needs to
has to be
happen
offered.
is, just the offer. I think the board needs to give permission to you as the mayor to go approach this person to see if they're willing to do it, and make a formal offer to her so that you can get somebody in there.
Do we have any idea on what we pay for something like this? Would it be hourly?
Yeah. I don't know what your plan.
Well,
I don't know
what
what it entails.
Right, I mean, it would have to be hourly, so be time card involved, right?
I would assume so.
You're probably gonna wanna know how much the city's gonna offer there. Is there anything towards retirement benefits?
No.
Just straight pay?
No, sorry.
ideas and numbers here. I don't know where to begin with.
I would say, I don't even know who it is. So.
How about, real quick, council, we withdraw your first and your second real quick, and then we can go.
Who, did I make first?
I think your house. Okay.
So make a motion from there to be able to go talk to whatever person it is.
Can we make a motion to let Sam do it? I don't even know the lady. He's already talked to her.
I don't know.
I mean, can we do that? Or if council so agrees?
Yeah, I make a motion that Sam Bows will talk to her.
Sam Bows.
Sam Black.
Is there a Sam Bass?
Yeah.
That's a
So, we have a motion to allow Sam Black to contact
I think we need to give a name.
Tanya Ferris, to see if she's interested in becoming a part-time W-2 interim comptroller, hourly at a rate of, that's the part we'll probably need to figure out before we talk to her, and council needs to agree on.
Well, I know what she said if she was going to do a contract, what that would entail, that would look like. But, talking finance and stuff, there's not time to write a contract and all that with, what we have. So, I mean, I can figure it out kind of hourly right now. It'd be $55 an hour.
$55 an hour. Where does that fall in line on her?
That'd be $60,000 a year on a 20-hour a week work week. But she was hoping that this would be a straight contract, but it doesn't sound like that is going to fit into the allotted time.
Okay, so motion again to allow Sam to contact Tanya Ferris to see if she's interested in becoming a part-time interim controller as a W-2 employee at a rate of, are you going with $55 an hour? Are we choosing a different number?
You want to add that to my motion? That's fine. Add it to my motion.
Okay, so that was a motion by Grady to allow Black to contact her part-time, $55 an hour. Not to exceed, obviously, $14.99, but that's probably not gonna happen anyway. Second by Bouse. Is there any other discussion on that? Is there overtime concerns?
There'd be no overtime.
Okay, full council, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Okay, so that motion carries, I guess, Lance, then will you need to draw up like a formal offer with this language, or Sam do it verbally and find an effective start date or something? I mean, is it that simple?
Yeah, it's that simple. So moving forward after, if she doesn't even know, but July 1, when we start a new fiscal year, will we have time to discuss the possibility of her just doing this like on a 1-year contract and have that in place if she's interested by July 1?
I mean, we can certainly have that discussion whatever the council.
I'm basically trying to figure out how long of a process this would take.
So, the typical process for a contract employee, assuming there's an actual agreement in place, it's gonna take at least one meeting for me to be able to draft the contract, have it okay, and then come back for the next meeting to have an ordinance drafted that authorizes the mayor to sign it.
So essentially, we need to know by probably the first meeting in June if she's interested in going further than July 1.
I would say if she's interested in going further, I mean, there's nothing that says that you can't have that discussion about removing the interim name and naming somebody as comptroller while we're doing this. There would be plenty of time to get it done by July.
Yeah. She's not going to be a full-time city employee, and that's already understood.
And that's fine. And it doesn't necessarily, at 20 hours a week, she's under 1,500 hours. I don't know that you necessarily even have to do it as a contract. If you reach an agreement on the amount of money, because she'll never get close to 1,500 hours.
Wouldn't it benefit the city though, because we'll be paying all the employment taxes that go with Social Security, paying Social Security and all that as a W-2 employee that we would not be paying if they were paying her on a straight contract?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's,
Well, let's just start with this, because I think it's when we're talking about contracts or long-term contracts, through the guidance of our auditors, we're gonna have to solicit these contracts for bids. So, she may be the only one to apply for it, but we're still gonna have to go through that process. That's true for all of our contract employees now. Unfortunately, it's one more added step in the process, but it's just what we're gonna have to do. So, hold off on that conversation for now, because I mean, you know, I gotta be careful.
Well, my goal is right now is to get us through the budget. I understand it sounds like we at least have a possibility.
Okay. Well, let us know, I guess.
Okay.
Anything else?
I took care of mine already. Look at you, when we had things.
Curtis?
Took care of mine too. Oh, okay, yeah.
Thanks, Miss Lee.
I do. So as you know, today is Chris's last council meeting. Chris is retiring, and I want to wish you well. I will miss you. I wish you nothing but the best, and I really like you much.
I've enjoyed working with you all these years. So.
I second that, and you have my letter of recommendation,
Thank you.
and obviously, it was a pleasure to write that for you, and if anyone needs something in the future, you know where to find me.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Lance, anybody else? Going once, going twice, motion to adjourn. Motion by Grady, second by Cole, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.